So over the course of 25 days, I captured about 1.5 or so terabytes of data across a few different cameras. And before I was really making YouTube videos seriously as I am now, I was really a photographer. I still am a photographer. And so it's funny because I may stop and see something beautiful, and my first inclination is to photograph it. And I usually don't even videotape it. And so I felt like with thousands of photos taken, and these being my favorites that I've uploaded to Flickr, which is the description, the link is to Flickr if you want to look at these in larger size, that it would be a disservice if I didn't share with you all the photos I took on this trip. Starting in Redmond, Oregon for the MOA National Rally. First 4 days of the trip were in Redmond. The first photo that was there was before my trip started with Heather and Matilda. They left for New Hampshire before I left for Oregon. And so that was my last evening with Matilda before she left. So I'm going to use this opportunity to share with you what I think are some really good photos that are only going to play 3 seconds at a time, so you have to pause if you want to really appreciate them. So please get on the television, kick back on the couch, make sure you watch this in 1080p or higher, and that you just enjoy the photography. That's all I ask. So, wow, 25 days. I've been home now for a week, and I just wanted to kind of play through, not about the preparation, not about problems that occurred, not about money that was spent. I kind of wanted to be a bit more philosophical about motorcycle travel and just kind of the mindset that it allows for when you take a trip longer than a week, for example. So nearly every one of my trips I've ever been on has been for a weekend. In fact, I'm not retired yet, so most of my trips I'll work Friday until noon, and then get back Sunday night, and go to a rally or something, or go for a couple of nights out in the woods and camp. There's only been a few trips that I've done that were a week long. There's only been one that I did that was 2 weeks long, and that was the Trans-Labrador trip. And so, this trip being 25 days was really just something that I had never attempted before, but in a big way. Let's take our longest trip and double it. And be a trip that is completely, everything about the trip was new roads, new weather, new sights, landmarks, etc. So starting the trip, day one, Alvord Desert, southeastern Oregon, beautiful. You're leaving the forest of Redmond and Bend, you're getting to the high plains, you're finding this dry lake bed, going very, very fast on that lake bed, and, when it gets dark, it's totally silent. No light pollution, no people. For some reason, still had cell phone service, but just a completely, it's like being on Mars. It was just, with oxygen, of course, but it was just completely alone. Super great start to the trip. Got some great photos. After that, I started the Oregon BDR, and even though I had the right tires for it, and, I had a capable bike, I was really out of my element for a trip that was going to be a month long. This is the first or second full riding day, and I was going to be, on day 2, dropping the bike, going 50 miles an hour, and, spraining my ankle. It was, for me, just a tough lesson that, hey, this is a long trip. You really need to take it easy. Take it easy, one day at a time. get through every day and not you know, push yourself to the point of breaking something on any day of the trip. So even though Oregon BDR was a lot of fun, I just knew that I shouldn't continue on that kind of a trail, even though it was going to be breathtakingly beautiful. In addition to that, weather really decided that for me, in that Washington BDR was closed due to snow, and Oregon BDR, you know, I finished day one with a low of 38 degrees and snow, and a free overnight ice road freeze. And so I was going to be, for the next 5 or 6 days on the Oregon BDR in very cold weather. And so, you know, old guy, 800-pound bike, below freezing temperatures, snow, sprained ankle that I had to be off of for 2 other days anyway. I made the decision after getting my ankle inspected and x-rayed that I would just go to warmer pastures, literally. And those guys, by the way, they were doing Oregon and Washington BDRs. They were doing on enduro bikes, and they were, you know, wondering why it took me a whole day to do section 1 or half of section 1. And they looked at my bike and they were like, oh, okay, we get it now. You're on a 700-pound bike. Probably higher, actually. So day 3, I crossed west towards the Oregon coast. And beautiful, beautiful. Going to Detroit, Oregon, going to Tillamook, following the coastline, going through the national forests. It was strikingly beautiful. It was great. I mean, like, you know, your coastal Oregon is on a bucket list for me, and so I wouldn't have seen it on this trip otherwise. And I'm so glad I got to see it. Only mishaps I had was my GoPro microphone stopped working, so I had to stop at a Best Buy in Salem, Oregon, and both of my Dixie lights weren't tightened properly by Clearwater or their booth, and so I had to stop at a Napa and get a 6mm Allen key and get that fixed. But I met this cool character in Tillamook who was shut down for health reasons, but he still served me coffee out of his cafe that he now lives in. Didn't charge me for it. Nice guy. But yeah, I may have drank rat shit, and I don't know. The coffee cup was not clean. This is passing through Astoria. I walked up the Astoria Tower, which was cool. Got to see all kinds of cool shit from up there. Oh, by the way, all these photos are taken with a Canon R5, and I brought with me the 2470 f2.8, the 7200 f2.8, and the a 16mm prime ultra wide angle. I used a little bit of that one. It was just so small, it would just kind of fit in my pocket. It just wasn't really in the way. So I'm glad I brought it. Now we've crossed into National Park in Oregon. Is it Olympia or Olympic? I don't know, but this is Rialto Beach. I was here for one night. Beautiful, beautiful old growth forests, huge trees, damp, you know, just wet forest. I left my deli sandwich that I bought unattended for 30 seconds, and 3 crows swooped down and took the entire sandwich away, like professionals. So I now have an immense dislike for crows that, you know, I didn't like them before, and I really don't like them. I was going to do Vancouver Island this day, but just didn't happen. I ended up going around it because of the ferry price. I'm getting away from my whole thing, though. You can keep playing stuff. I'll try to tell you where things are as we are. So I crossed Puget Sound over to Bellingham, Washington from this area. So the first 3 days of the trip were really like getting your sea legs, like wishing I had packed something, frantically trying to order something from Best Buy or Amazon, and, you know, just then accepting that, okay, I'm not going to get this thing in time, I just got to keep going, which was a tripod mount for my DJI gimbal, or my Insta360 gimbal. This is, by the way, now we're in Whistler, BC. And the next few days, the next week, I spent a lot of time that next week, basically breaking myself of my daily rhythm, in that I didn't have to read the news. I didn't have to check emails. My job was making videos, but that was fun. That's fun stuff. I enjoy that a lot. So it took me like 2 weeks. It was really, I swear to God, it was like the 14-day mark. This is in central BC, going up the coast towards Yukon. It was really on day 14 that I don't know, I woke up. I didn't think about work. I didn't think about family. I didn't think about friends. I didn't think about where I was going to sleep that night. I didn't think about the weather of the day. I didn't think about... I knew what the weather was, but it didn't change my day. It was like today was going to be the day that I did this no matter what. It was a really weird, freeing feeling. I can't even explain it. But 2 weeks from the date I left North Carolina to basically unlearn my habits, I don't know how to explain it, and from that point forward, like nothing really got me down. Nothing made me anxious or stressed. I was like, my job was the road. And I've never taken 4 weeks off work before. I've never taken 2 weeks off work. And so this was just something to be almost 40 years old and to not set an alarm. It's weird. It's so weird. So of course I missed Heather and Matilda, and maybe it was distance. I was so far away that everything was a flight away. So like if something seriously happened, I would have had to like catch a flight. But like it was if you've never taken a long trip, it's it's a 4-week or more trip, it's really hard to explain that euphoria that comes over you when you realize the only thing I have to worry about is me, nothing else. Yeah. So Dempster, got through we did 2 days in Whitehorse. It was great. Took a break for a couple days. Dempster Highway took, I think, 3 days, and I'm okay now, but in the moment, I think I was really disappointed with myself for not going the distance to the very end. And I don't think I'll ever be free of that. And I think that, you're going to find me one day as a retiree at age 75, because that's when you'll retire as millennials, at 75. And I'm going to drive my electric Sprinter van up to the Dempster Highway. I'm going to unload a dirt bike, and I'm going to just do it. I'm always going to want to finish that road. That's going to be with me the rest of my life. And it's okay to have those kind of things. I guess those are bucket list, right? To have gone so far, to have been, I think it was like 4,000 miles from home, and to have only 300 miles left and turn back, it just still feels insane. There was a lot of opportunities on this trip to really challenge myself and push myself and push the bike. And I found that overall, I said no to all those. It's not that I didn't start. There was a day I did the Continental Divide. There was a day I did the Oregon BDR. There was a day I, rode when it was super cold or super hot or super rainy, or when I was tired, or when I had a pinched nerve in my shoulder blade, or when my ankle was sprained. But I never ever did a thing that was like, just gonna send it. I never had a moment where I just said, 50-50 chance, we're just gonna go for it. If the chances are 50-50, I definitely was not going to do it. And I don't think it's being a father or getting older or, whatever else. I don't think it's externalities. I think that it all came down to, it's a long trip. You and the bike want to get home. I don't want to be stuck in Dawson City, Yukon, waiting for a part for 21 days, just racking up hotel bills for 30 seconds of, let's just send it. Or, losing a day going around a wildfire as opposed to going through it. I just think that, and I'm grateful, by the way, I'm grateful that I don't feel like less of a man or less of a rider or less of an adventure rider. And I shouldn't use less of a man, because, there are badass women out there too, but classic macho bullshit. I don't feel like less of a person for the decisions I made, because after 4 weeks of riding, I did pull in my driveway on my bike without any issues, without any broken bones, without any hospital stays, without any replacement parts except for tires. And so, could I have taken more chances on this trip? Probably. This is in Dawson City, by the way, day after the Dempster. I could have taken more chances on this trip. Yeah, and I probably would have been okay. Probably would have had some better stories and some better videos and more fun, but boy, was I happy to get back home in one piece. And then, next day hop into the truck with the dirt bike and drive up to New Hampshire to see my wife and kid, and not delay my homecoming any longer. I'm grateful that everything went as well as it did. This is top of the road highway, by the way, out of Dawson City, heading to Chicken and then on to Tok, Alaska. Got to lay in snow, by the way. This is me laying in snow in, first week of July. It's pretty awesome. As for, you doing a trip like this, I hope you get to do a trip like this. I hope that you get to do a trip like this while you still have your health, while you're still young. I meet a lot of people, too many people, who work so hard and they retire. And they retire with an ailment or a commitment or a necessity that keeps them from a trip like this. I think every 5 or 10 years, no matter what age you are, you should go on a trip like this. It doesn't have to be by yourself. It doesn't have to be on a motorcycle. But an extended trip beyond 2 weeks really does reset your I want to say psyche. It resets your perspective. And I'm not talking about there are good people everywhere and most people are generally kind and, things aren't as dangerous as they seem out there or any of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about your perspective on yourself, your perspective on and this is back in British Columbia, by the way, heading towards Jasper, Banff for Canada Day. Your knowingness of your capabilities, how much you can push yourself, sleep deprivation, riding time, hiking, being uncomfortable sometimes, being scared sometimes. It's really, it's important. This is the petting zoo in Alberta province. No, BC. Is this BC or Alberta? I think it's Alberta. I think that that like 5 or 10 year reset on knowing ourselves. It's funny because we think we are certain people, and we think that we as certain people will respond a certain way or do a certain thing. But you really don't know until you've put yourself in that situation. Well, if someone pointed a gun at me, I'd do this, this, and this. Would you though? Have you had a gun pointed at you lately? Have you been in a fight lately? Have you had to stand up for yourself lately? You just don't know. Can I still make casual friendships? Can I still talk to people? Can I still entertain a stranger? Can I still read a map? Can I still find my way around a place? Can I still solve a tough problem? Can I do it without much sleep, in the rain, in the cold, without losing my temper? Can I help a stranger? Can I be self-sufficient and like start my own fire and, harvest berries that don't kill me and skip a meal and not get ornery or pissed off about it? Find a clean water source. I mean, like, and it's not because like I'm a prepper, a doomsday prepper, but the confidence, self-reliance gives you when you come back to society is, you just can't put a price on it. It's so valuable to know that you did this thing most people don't do, and you did it on your own, and you survived. And I think that this trip, the sights were great. And if someone asked me, how my trip was and what I saw, and, I'll cover Glacier National Park, I'll cover the price of gas, I'll cover, but like all of the things that I experienced in my soul, that's mine. And I can't package that up and give it to someone else because they are different. I feel so rich with understanding and knowledge and insights into who I am after this trip that like the pictures are just the thing I saw with my eyes. But the pictures and the videos aren't what I felt. And what you feel really is, that's the change agent. This is Jasper into Banff National Parks, obviously. Let's see, we have like 10 minutes left. One thing I was really surprised about is I didn't actually meet many people my age. Really surprising. I met a lot of people that were 18 to 25 who had either were about to start college or had just finished college and were kind of taking a trip, just a summer road trip with a friend in a shitty old van or in a car, just driving to Alaska to see things. And then I met people on motorcycles or in RVs or in camper vans or in trucks that were in their 60s and 70s. I can't think of anyone I met in their late 30s, early 40s on this trip. I certainly didn't meet anyone between the ages of 25 and 50 that was married. And I most definitely didn't meet anyone in that age range who had a 6-month-old at home. Yeah, it was, I was definitely all alone in my demographic. I was telling Heather that like I had a lot of great, meaningful conversations with, quote, old ladies in bars that were either passing through or stuck in that place. stuck either their whole life or stuck in that they, you know, are just stuck there. They're stuck. They're not here or there. They're just stuck. And then I met a lot of like 19-year-old girls who were so proud of me for doing this trip at my age, but I had nothing in common with. And it was just really funny to like spend so much time with, I get along better with women anyway than men. And so it was, wild to spend so many evenings at bars or cafes or hotel lobbies talking to other travelers, mostly female, that, this is Glacier, by the way, National Park, that were interested in my story, asked the right questions, but the things that we can align on mentally and spiritually wasn't there. We were all in different spaces. And so I felt every day super lonely. I ended up having breakfast in Golden, BC, with a woman. We were both eating breakfast separately, and I went over to her and I said, "Can I have a breakfast with you?" I said, I've been saying this to everyone, by the way, on the trip. I'm like, I've been on the motorcycle trip for 4 weeks, and I'm just super lonely. Figured to talk to a stranger. And she said, "Yeah, sure, you can sit down." And she was on a sabbatical from her work. She's been at a job for 28 years, and they asked her to take 6 months off. And it's just her and her dog in a camper van, a conversion van, going across Canada for 6 months. And, hey, we had mutual appreciation for each other's journeys. But after breakfast, it's like the paths diverge so quickly. And, no phone number, no postcards, no swapping emails. There was no interest in that. And I felt like I talked to a lot of people for a few minutes, but I didn't make a single friend on this trip. Maybe that's not what this trips are about. But it was all very fleeting, quick exchanges. So at this point in the trip, after Glacier, we're in Montana. I go south to Helena to get new tires. I go over to south to Missoula. I go over to Helena to get an oil change at an MOA member's house. Then I go down to Yellowstone via the Continental Divide ride, where I dropped my bike a couple of times, got stuck at a dead-end private property and had to walk my bike through a horse field. Without the motor running, of course, I pushed the bike through a horse field. Then down to Yellowstone, and after Yellowstone, Yellowstone was Idaho, Wyoming, Montana. I went over to South Dakota to Sturgis and Mount Rushmore. But we're looking at basically the last 2 days of my trip at this point. After Rushmore, that day I woke up in Keystone, South Dakota. That was it. I did 2 900-mile days and I was home. And truthfully, this is Yellowstone, if I didn't have a wife and a kid, I would have done another month on the road. I was at a point where I really wanted to get like an Airbnb, a private Airbnb, maybe in like, Denver or like a big city. Take a whole week off, get a massage, chiropractor, get a medical checkup, soak in a hot tub, and then at that point head south to Mexico, do the wall, then go up over to Baja California, and then do can't remember the name of it now. Anyway, do some national parks in California, hop over to New Orleans, and then back home. I wanted to do another month. My mind was ready for another month. But the clock was ticking. I only had a few more weeks off from work. And so I decided, I'm either going to stay in this area for a week and really like rest, or I'm just going to do an iron butt home and be with my family. And I don't regret that decision at all. I'm just giving you like where my mind was hunker down for a week rest and then do another 25 days. Because I really felt like this could be a whole lifestyle. How would I pay for it? I don't know. You know, at my average of $230 per day, I can't pay for this lifestyle and keep my houses and, you know, keep my savings and everything else. But I really was in a place of total mental freedom. Yeah. And it's so weird. It's so weird to recount, like, just what that felt. Like, I can't even describe it. I can't describe it at all. But I acclimated to it much faster than I thought. And now getting back into normal mode is much harder than I thought. Sorry, I'm just kind of pondering here. The bike did great. It's a brand new bike. Did an oil change at 6,000 miles. Tires lasted 7,000 or 8,000 miles, or 5,500 miles, which is not bad for knobbies. I was actually really happy on the way home doing 90 miles an hour on I-90 through rain to be on the Michelin Anarchy Adventures. Rushmore, everyone said it was super underwhelming. Rushmore was awesome. That was cool. I loved visiting Rushmore. It was super awesome. So go visit Rushmore. It was awesome. The final day of just sitting in the saddle for 12 hours, both days in a row, very tiring. One day was 15 hours, very tiring. But there wasn't really just anything else that I could have seen that wasn't going to delay me further. Like lots of stuff to see, but it was time. It was time to go back to reality. Do you need a GS to do this trip? No, but it really does help to have a touring bike that can do off-roading. I think doing this on an off-road bike for the 9,000 miles of pavement would have sucked. And so an adventure bike is definitely what you want. The GS is the best bike for this ride. And only a couple of the sections that I really feel out of my element. But if I was able to have base camp a couple of days and drop all my luggage, I could have done an Oregon BDR had I not sprained my ankle. It would have been slow, but everything worked out exactly the way it should have. And that's the great thing. This is Badlands National Park. Everything worked out the exact way it should have. Favorite moment? Getting to pavement after the Dempster Highway and probably top of the world highway. Those are two big moments. In Glacier National Park. Yeah. So, that's it. I have a couple more videos planned. I'm going to do a video about what I didn't need to bring with me, stuff that I left behind. But this is it. Trip is over. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the comments. Ride safe. Love you. Take care.